Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to Andre M. Smith Live. My name is Andre M. Smith, and I thank you so much for taking up the time to come and to tune into my channel and listen to my perspective on topics and such as relationships and life and what makes sense and what makes life. Um, Tonight, I want to talk about one of the trending topics that's happening right now, what everybody is talking about on these internet streets. And that is the conversation between Iyanla Van Zant and Eboni K. Williams of the Griot. The gist of the conversation was Eboni K. Williams' question to Iyanla Van Zant about what it is that a Black woman could do, and how does she position herself to be able to find a partner with the, as she stated, the lack of options when it comes to Black men. What is it that a woman is to do who has elevated herself financially, education-wise, career-wise, and now she's looking for a partner who basically has equal or even, more or accomplished more than what she has. And I thought that Iyanla Van Zant's response was on point. I thought it was a good way to elevate the conversation and to kind to expose really how, as women and as men too, that we are sometimes very superficial in what it is that we look at when we are vetting a prospective partner or what we're looking for in a partner. And so Iyanla Van Zant's response to me really, I thought, was a way to expose that at times, again, we can be very superficial in our choices. We can look so much at the money and the career and the way that the person looks and, what will it mean for my life if they're connected to me business wise and so forth. And we never really get to the substantive part of the person. And I think that Iyanla Van Zant's response was to get to that very thing, to get to the substantive part of what it is that we look at when we are vetting for a partner. So when Iyanla Van Zant said to her, she asked her the question, would she date a bus driver? And Eboni K's response was to say that she would date him if he owned the bus. That opened the door for Iyanla Van Zant to say, well, I would date the bus driver, and this is why. And so what she did was she attempted to take it away from the profession and all of the external things of the person and bring it to the inward. And the reason why I say that is because of her response. And so what she said was, she said that she would date the bus driver, but she also said why she would date the bus driver. And so her response was to say that, she would date the bus driver if he loved his profession, if he loved his mother, if he loved the children that he had given, that he had born, if he was grounded in his relationship with she said her words, the God of his understanding, and that if he loved her well. And so those things to me pointed to the substantive part of the man and the substantive part of, vetting a partner. And I think that is where she was taking it. And I think that that's where the conversation needs to be. This conversation has gotten so, I'm going to say, convoluted because of the fact that, people are talking about, they're very focused on the fact of the question of dating the bus driver, and her tone and the way that she responded to it, and that's really not the issue now. That seems to be where the conversation has kind of like gotten stuck. But that's not really the point. That's not the meat of it, because the meat of the conversation is the substance of the person. And so I think that this is an opportune time for the conversations between Black men and Black women to be elevated, because to be very honest with you, some of the conversations that we're having with one another are very mean-spirited at times. They are not substantive at all. They are just a back and forth of who hurt who the worst, or who cheated on the other person more, or who's less educated or more educated, who's been more faithful, who's been more consistent. And we seem to have gotten stuck in the muck and the mire of those kinds of conversations as to really getting to the meat of how we vet a partner. How do we as men and women come together? How do we express what we need? How do we express and communicate who we are, without being high-minded in what we're saying, and all of those kinds of things. And I think that Iyanla Vanzant was trying to get us to that point. I think she was not dismissing Eboni K. Williams's preference, which has also seemed to come a part of the conversation. She wasn't dismissing her preference, but what she was trying to do was she was trying to get her to consider that there is more to a man than his profession. There is more to a man than his wallet. There's more to a woman than her looks. There's more to a woman than her ability to cook and clean. And and that is where she was trying to take the conversation. And I think that is where a lot of people have missed it, because that's the thing that we need to elevate the conversation. And so now what has happened is that we've gotten so hooked into her tone of voice, and so hooked into her, her being dismissive of the profession of the bus driver, that now the conversation has gotten relegated to, will you date a bus driver? And the way you say, no, I won't date a bus driver. And that's not the conversation. The conversation is deeper. The conversation is more nuanced. And that's what we need to be talking about. We are in such a place right now where, relationships between Black men and Black women are to some degree almost like in crisis, because we just don't know how to talk to one another. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to say, express to the other person how we're feeling. We don't know how to listen to what is being expressed to us without receiving it as an offense, or receiving it as some form of rejection, or some type of degrading or dismissing of who we are. And it's caused us just to be in this place where we just, we don't talk. We don't share. People are afraid to be vulnerable. I did a video not too long ago about whether or not, are we really afraid to love each other? And I think to some degree that we are, because the conversations that are going on are so unhealthy. They are non-productive. They are not substantive. They just go back and forth and create a lot of blame. They attempt to embarrass. They attempt to belittle, and they don't get to the heart of really what we should be talking about when it comes to relationships between men and women. And so, I thought that Iyanla's attempt to get to the heart of it and get her to lift her understanding, or to at least increase her thinking, or challenge her thinking about what is it that I'm really looking for in a partner. It's great if he has money. It's great if he has a career. It's great if he's educated. But the heart of the person is who they are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, because those three things, that three-legged stool, is really where all of their decisions come from. That's what guides them. And that's what you need to be invested in. That's the thing you need to investigate. That's the thing you need to vet when you are looking for a partner. You need to understand who they are and what guides their decisions. What guides their decisions? Because when you understand who that person is, then you have a better opportunity of understanding and knowing who's going to show up in a crisis, who's going to show up when you need them the most. Who is this person that I'm going to be vulnerable with? Who is this person that I am going to join myself with, that I'm going to partner with, that I'm going to make a long-term decision to spend the rest of my life with? That is the place where you need to start with the vetting. her preference to not date a bus driver is just that, her preference. And we all have them. But that should not be the foundation of building a relationship. And that is the point that's wrong. That is the point where we get it wrong. I'm just going to say that's the place where we get it wrong, because we're building on things that are fleeting. Her looks are going to change. His looks are going to change. Money probably going to change. It are a lot of those things that we quote unquote say are our preferences are things that are going to change. But the substantive part of who somebody is should evolve and grow. And there are going to be situations and circumstances that will test that their emotional and mental fortitude, that's going to test their spiritual fortitude. And so what you want to be able to see and know and look at with a person is where they are in that area. Who are they? And we don't spend the time looking at that because, for a long time, if a woman is asked a question about what she wants in a man, she'll give a very pat answer. She'll talk about his career. She'll talk about how he looks. She'll talk about the money that he makes, and then do the same thing. They give this pat answer. Well, she got to be this height. She got to have this kind of shape. And, I'm not sure whether or not I wanted to have children. She got to, she got to be submissive. All of these different things that they talk about when it comes to what it is that they want in a partner. But I very rarely hear people talk about the substantive part of the person. We have conversations about masculine energy, and we having conversations about will somebody submit it. We having conversations about, is he a good leader and all of these things, but none of those things matter if the person has no substance to them. What does it matter if he can lead, and what does it matter whether or not she'll submit, or can she be feminine? And what does all of that matter if you do not know the core of who that person is? What does it matter? What does it matter? And that's what we have to get to. Those are the conversations that we have to talk about. And I just thought that her, and I'm speaking of Iyanla Vanzant, her question and the way that she framed her answer and the things that she said, the qualifications and the characteristics that she talked about with this bus driver, if she dated him, spoke to the very heart of who he was as a man and how he conducted himself and how he operated, from his family to children to his spiritual values. Those were the things. And how he loved her. Those were the things that she focused on. And very rarely do we have those conversations. We're still talking about shoes and where he shop and the kind of car he drive and what her shape look like. And, all of these superficial things that at the end of the day don't really mean very much. Do you know if he's committed? Do you know if she's committed? Is he or she trustworthy? Those are the things that you want to know. Is this somebody that I can be vulnerable with, and I can share information with, and I can share my heart with, and I can feel like I'm safe when I do it? That's what you want to know about this person that you want to do life with, this person that you want to quote unquote become a power couple with, right? We're talking about power couples, but power couple in what instance? Powerful because you have money? Powerful because you both are educated? Powerful because of what? What are you powerful for? What does power translate into if neither of you have character, neither of you have any integrity, neither of you are really committed to the growth and the value of the other person? What kind of power couple are you? What kind of power are you exuding? And this is what we need to be talking about. We don't need to be still talking about, who's going to submit, who won't submit, who's too masculine. She's unattractive because she's masculine. He don't know how to lead. He's a dusty. Somebody's narcissistic. Somebody is toxic. We've labeled and tagged every behavior that someone has done. But we don't take the time to investigate, to see whether or not the tags fit. But we got a tag and a cliche for everything. And to be very honest, it's time out for the tags. It's time out for the cliches. It's time out for throwing around all of these clinical terms about people without taking the opportunity to get to know who they are and to see whether or not this person really is for you. You know, I shared with a friend of mine that, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, when we have these discussions about relationships and we talk about how we can't find somebody and all black men ain't this and all black women ain't that. And, you know, I think we forget that in all of the relationships that we've been in, whether good, bad, or indifferent, we've always been the common denominator. We've always been the common denominator. And it's the choice in the beginning that we made to engage in a relationship with this person based on what we saw, based on what we thought we saw about them, based on what we thought we knew, is what caused us to be in relationship with them in the first place. And most times what happens is that when we enter into relationship with people, what we do is we reason away the very thing that we know is not something that we want, because we take on that momentary, you know, we're caught up in the momentary joy of knowing somebody and being with them. We're caught up in the momentary, you know, bliss of how they make us feel and what they're doing for us. And then when that momentary bliss falls away, when that feeling just starts to subside a little bit, the very thing that we reasoned away becomes so big and so large. And it is the very thing that we reasoned away that causes the relationship to go. It causes the relationship now to fall apart. And so if we would just take the time to investigate who people are, if we would take the time to find out who they are, you know, at their very core, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual part of them, I think our relationships would be so different. And guess what? Even when you are investigating the emotional and mental and spiritual part of where a person is, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're still going to be with them, right? Because you still may say, you know what? I see this part about you, but it's still not where I would need, you know, the person that I want to be with. It. You're still not at the place where I would need somebody that I want to love and I want to love me to be at. And that's okay. And there is a way to have that conversation. But this is where we're falling short, because we do not have conversations. We have debates, and we have to stop debating about who loved who the most, who cheated on who the most, who had more babies, who, you know, was more narcissistic, who was more toxic. We have to stop having conversations about that, because at the end of the day, guess what? As black men and women, we have hurt each other. We have mishandled each other. We done cheated on each other. We have manipulated each other. We have deceived each other. And at the end of the day, we we've mishandled each other. We've broken each other's hearts. And it doesn't matter who did it the most, because a broken heart is a broken heart. Disappointment is disappointment. And so at the end of the day, we have to recognize that whatever the relationship that we were in, we were not the best partner. We weren't the perfect partner. We did some things to them and they did some things to us. We made some bad decisions in entering into relationships with people who we knew were not the person for us. But for that momentary bliss, we endured however much time we spent with them. And sometimes we spent time that was just too long. But we got to get to a place where we have these conversations and we talk about really what it means to be in relationship with someone, what it means to love them, what it means to sacrifice, what it means to be able to express what you need, what you can give, what you cannot give, your capability to love, your capacity to love. Those are the things that we need to talk about. And those are the things that you should be vetting about a person when you are deciding to enter into a relationship with them. Whether you decide to be married or not, any relationship that you enter into that's going to be of a romantic type, it should be healthy, It should be loving. It should be fulfilling. It should be one that is sustainable. It should be built on a foundation of you understanding who that man is and who that woman is, and whether or not they can love you, whether or not they can honor you, whether or not they have the capacity to blend themselves and connect themselves to you in an emotional and mental and spiritual way that is healthy for you, and that will produce the type of partnership, the type of companionship that you desire. It's way more than somebody's profession. It's deeper than their pockets. It's deeper. And we got to be willing to go there. And I'll even say this, before you go there, do you. Before you decide to vet somebody, and before you decide to go up one side and come down the other to determine whether or not they are a good partner, you should have done the work to determine whether or not you are a good partner. We can ask people to give us a whole lot of things, but you should be able and be willing to give what you ask. If you want character, you should have some. If you want integrity, you should have some. If you want someone who can sacrifice, you should be willing to be able to sacrifice too. If you want someone that is trustworthy, you should be trustworthy. If you want somebody who is emotionally and mentally well, you should be emotionally and mentally well. You should have done some work that demonstrates that you are a partner, that you are capable of loving someone, that you are capable of stepping outside of your own needs and your own desires to lift them up and to encourage them and to get them to the place where they want to be. You have to be willing to be what you're asking for. And a lot of times we're not what we ask for. We're not. A relationship is not the place where you enter into, and then where you enter into and you work out stuff that really needs to be worked out alone, right? Sometimes we enter into relationships with things and stuff, I'm going to say, that really should have been worked out before we got with the person. And so that's another part of vetting. You vet yourself, examine you. Am I ready to be in a relationship? Am I ready to be somebody's wife? Am I ready to be somebody's husband? And even if I don't want to get married, am I just simply ready to be somebody's partner? Am I ready to be in, even if it's going to be a long-term relationship, am I prepared? Am I ready? What is it about me emotionally and mentally and spiritually? And I'm going to keep saying that because I just think those are the three things that are core to the person and their ability to be in a healthy relationship with you. Is that, are those things set for me? What have I done to make sure that I can be the wife or the partner that he needs? What have I done to be the husband and the partner that she needs? What have I done? What things have I gotten over? Some of us have been in relationships that have been so hurtful and so harmful, and we say we're over it, but we never did anything to really be over it. And so now here we are in another relationship and vetting this person, right? Because we just want to make sure that they're not the person that I left. When you are vetting as someone and you're vetting them to make sure that they're not the person that you left, you don't need to be in a relationship, because that suggests to me that you're not over it. That suggests to me that you moved on. You didn't do any work. You probably were mad about it. You suppressed whatever it was. And you said, well, I don't see her anymore. I don't see him no more. I'm good. And so now here you are carrying baggage from a relationship that you didn't deal with. And now here you are attempting to vet someone to be your everything when you have nothing yourself to bring. You have nothing to bring. And that is something else that we have to stop doing. We have to stop expecting everything and not bringing anything. Vetting in a relationship is important. It is the foundation of the relationship. It is the place where you start to build the relationship. And it should be built on honesty. It should be built on it should be built on a conversation that is mature, a conversation that is honest, where you're telling the person who you are, Now, you don't have to spill all of everything you're saying, because you have to ease into these conversations. You have to be, you got to be thoughtful, you got to be intentional about the conversations that you're having with someone that you are, you know, exploring the possibility of being with. But I hope that I just hope that this conversation doesn't stop. I hope that we are able to get past the profession and the bus driver and will I be with him or not, and dating up and dating down, all of the things that, all of the other conversations that have come out of this, and that we'll really stick to the heart of it and really get to the meat of it. Who is this person that I'm vetting? Who is this person that I am exploring the possibility of being with? Who is she? Who is he? How is he as a man? How much time do you take to discern who he is as a man? How much time do you take, sir, to learn who she is as a woman? To see if she really is the person. We cannot keep vetting people based on who broke our heart. We can't keep vetting people based on who disappointed us, who didn't show up the way we thought they should. Those are the things that you have a responsibility to get over. Those are the things that you have a responsibility to heal from, so that when you decide that you're ready for a relationship, you can come in prepared. You can show up like a woman, you can show up like a man, and you can be prepared to enter into a relationship with someone mature, healthy, emotionally, mentally, spiritually sound, and prepared to really engage with someone. And whether or not they, the bus driver, the maid, the cook, the whoever they are, you yourself are at least in a place where you can communicate with them what you need, you can hear what they need, and you can make an informed decision as to whether or not you can give it. And you can make an informed decision about whether or not you believe you can get from them what you need. That is where these conversations needs to be. And I hope that we will take this conversation and elevate it to a different place. No more of the back and forth about who did what and who hurt me and all of that. Because everybody has hurt somebody. Or all of us have done some people dirty. We've done some things in relationships that we've been in that we probably don't even want people to know that, that we did them. We have all hurt somebody, whether you thought you did or not. All of us have hurt somebody. All of us have mishandled somebody's heart. We've all done it. But what we need to do now is to get over the hurt that we caused and get over the hurt that we felt. That's where we're failing. We're moving on and thinking that another relationship will cover the hurt. Another relationship will make me forget what so-and-so did or forget about how so-and-so treated me. Another relationship won't do that. That's the work of healing. That's the work of healing. And you need to do that work first. Then you can talk about how you need to vet somebody. Then you can talk about the preferences. That's the order I think we should be speaking in. That's all I got for you. I hope that I have said something that will cause you to consider your own process when you are vetting someone, when you're vetting someone to explore the possibility of being in a relationship with them, and that you will move beyond the preferences. Because like I said, we all have preferences and there's nothing wrong with that. I have no qualms with the fact that, Eboni K. Williams doesn't want to date a bus driver. That's her choice. She has the right to feel that way. But what I would hope is that whether she dates the bus driver or whether she dates, a senator or a congressman or a man of means, that she will still examine his heart first. That the first thing that she wants to examine, or any woman or any man wants to examine, is the heart of the person that you're looking at. That you're looking at this person and you're determining whether or not that their character lines up with the type of person you desire. Because what good is it to have someone who's rich or well educated or whatever the case may be, and they have no character? They have no character. There's no substance to them at all. That's what you should be looking for. That's what Iyanla Vanzant was trying to expose, and that is where I hope the conversation is elevated to. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, share, subscribe. And hit the notification button so the next time when I share my videos, you'll get that notification. Thank you so much again for joining me. I appreciate you so much taking up the time just to hear my thoughts, to hear my perspective. And I hope, again, that I've said something that will help you to, add to, whatever way that you vet. But it'll be just maybe something that I said will help you. It's something that you can add, to how you come to that decision. Thank you so much. Have a good one.